Think about the very first thing you did when you opened your eyes this morning. Before your feet even touched the floor, before you greeted your family, or even turned on the lights, did you reach for your smartphone? Did you scroll through a couple of short videos? Did you check a stressful news headline, or did you skim through your messages? If you did not just check your phone, you handed control of your focus, your mood, and your entire brain chemistry over to an algorithm. And you did it before you were even fully awake. Then we wonder why by 2 p.m. we feel completely drained, anxious, and totally unable to focus on our actual goals. Welcome to the Attention Baseline. This is a space to step away from the digital noise. We strip away the toxic hustle culture. We look at the real practical psychology of building momentum. Today, we are breaking down the high stimulation trap and laying out a complete step-by-step masterclass on how to reclaim your focus, reset your brain chemistry, and rebuild your deep work capacity in a world designed to keep you distracted. Let us begin by looking at the sheer scale of the problem we are up against. We live in an era where attention has become the most valuable commodity on Earth. Giant tech corporations employ teams of the world's finest neuroscientists, data engineers, and behavioral psychologists for one single purpose: to keep your eyes locked on a screen for as many seconds as humanly possible. Every color palette, every notification sound, every infinite scroll feature, and every autoplay video is mathematically optimized to exploit human evolutionary weaknesses. Your brain did not evolve to handle this level of constant, hypervelocity stimulation. When you wake up, your brain transitions from a deep sleep state into a waking state. It gradually builds up your natural alertness through a slow, steady increase in cortisol and a clearance of adenosine. It is supposed to be a gentle, natural ramp-up. But when we pick up our phones the second we wake up, we completely shatter this natural cycle. We flood our brains with what scientists call cheap dopamine. Dopamine is not actually the chemical of pleasure. It is the chemical of anticipation and reward seeking. Every headline, email, or short video gives your brain a tiny spike of stimulation, and it requires absolutely zero effort from you. Within 5 minutes of waking up, you have experienced more digital inputs, social comparisons, and global tragedies than our ancestors experienced in an entire year. Here is the problem. You are setting a ridiculously high stimulation baseline for the rest of your day. Once your brain tastes that hyper-fast, effortless entertainment at 6 a.m., real life feels incredibly boring by comparison. Sitting down at 9 a.m. to read a textbook, study for an industry exam, balance a corporate budget, or analyze a complex financial report becomes an uphill battle. Your brain starts begging for another hit of distraction. You are not lazy, and you do not lack talent. You have simply trained your brain to expect constant, high-speed stimulation, and anything less than that feels like absolute torture. To understand why we feel so paralyzed, we have to look at the psychological concept known as productivity guilt. When you turn your life into a giant spreadsheet, trying to optimize every single minute, you develop intense optimization anxiety. If your sleep tracker tells you that your recovery score was low, you start your morning already believing you are going to have a terrible day. If you miss a single check mark on a habit app because you are genuinely exhausted, you feel like a complete failure. The tools that were supposed to liberate your time end up policing it. This leads directly into the trap of fake productivity. Think about it honestly. How many hours have you spent tweaking your digital calendar, downloading new task managers, organizing your digital notes, or watching videos on how to be productive? We do this because organizing our work feels like doing real work. It gives our brain a safe, clean hit of dopamine without the risk of failure. But deep down, we know the truth. Color coding a calendar is not the same as actually writing the report, making the difficult phone call, studying the material, or building the business. We have optimized the system, but we have completely paralyzed the human being operating it. Why does this cycle keep repeating? It comes down to a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as the false hope syndrome. Every Sunday night, we look at our disorganized lives and say, "That is it, starting Monday. I am changing everything." We design a flawless 14-step morning routine. We promise ourselves we will read for an hour, exercise for an hour, meditate, drink green juice, eat perfectly, and work without a single distraction. But human psychology hates friction. The moment you mix a stressful, unpredictable workday with a hyper-rigid schedule, the system shatters. And because the system is so fragile, when one tiny piece breaks, you experience what psychologists call the what the hell effect. You say, what the hell, I already ruined my morning, I might as well spend the rest of the day scrolling on social media and eating junk food. You throw the entire week away because your system left no room for reality. The most productive, impactful people on the planet do not survive on hyper-complex systems. They survive on aggressive simplicity. When you strip away the noise, your brain stops fighting you and natural momentum takes over. To fix your focus, you have to transition from a mindset of time management to a mindset of energy and stimulation management. Let us break down the exact scientific blueprint to fix this, starting with a strategy called the Low Stimulation 90. For the first 90 minutes after you wake up, your goal is not to force yourself to be a hyper-productive corporate machine. Your only goal is to keep your mental stimulation baseline as low as possible. Think of your mind like a glass of clear, still water. If you drop a handful of mud into it the second you wake up by checking your phone, the water stays cloudy for the entire day. But if you keep it clear, the water settles, and you can see straight to the bottom. Here is how you execute the Low Stimulation 90 starting tomorrow morning. It requires 3 distinct structural boundaries. Step 1 is the charging station. You must charge your smartphone entirely outside your bedroom. No exceptions. If you use your phone as an alarm clock, you're setting yourself up for failure. Go to a local store and buy a cheap, basic, analog alarm clock that does nothing but beep. Eliminate the physical temptation to reach out in the dark and scroll. By removing the phone from your immediate physical environment, you eliminate the cognitive drain of constantly relying on willpower to resist it. Step 2 is the friction buffer. For the first 90 minutes of the day, do things that require your mind to interact with the physical world, not the digital one. Make your coffee or tea manually. Step outside on your balcony or garden and look at the natural morning light for 5 minutes. This natural light exposure triggers a healthy release of cortisol and sets your biological clock, ensuring better sleep later tonight. Do some light stretching, read a physical book, or map out your day on a physical piece of paper. Step 3 is the consumption gate. Do not open social media, news apps, work emails, or messaging platforms until those 90 minutes are fully up. Let your brain build its own natural, steady internal focus before you allow the external demands of the world to rush in. Now, let us be completely honest and realistic about this process. The first 3 to 5 days you try this, it is going to feel incredibly uncomfortable. You will feel a literal physical itch to check your phone while you wait for your water to boil or your coffee to brew. That itch is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the feeling of your brain realizing that it has to sit with its own thoughts for a moment. It is the feeling of your baseline resetting. You must learn to lean into that temporary boredom. In modern society, we have completely eradicated boredom. Every time there is a microsecond of stillness, whether we are standing in a line, waiting for an elevator, or sitting at a red light, we pull out our phones to kill the boredom. But boredom is exactly where creativity comes from. It is where your baseline anxiety begins to drop. It is where your brain finally gets the quiet space it needs to think deeply about what you want to achieve, rather than what the internet wants you to look at. Once you have protected your morning baseline, the next step is managing your focus during your actual work hours. To do this without burning out, we must look at a fascinating concept from biology and neuroscience known as Zone 2 focus and nervous system regulation. Most people try to force themselves into high-stress, high-adrenaline focus blocks. They drink 3 cups of black coffee, put on fast-paced music, and try to white-knuckle their way through a project. While this can work for an hour, it triggers a massive spike in your sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight response. This type of focus is highly fragile. The moment an unexpected email arrives or a coworker interrupts you, your stress levels redline, exhaustion sets in, and you spend the next 2 hours recovering from mental fatigue. Instead, we want to cultivate Zone 2 focus. This is a state of calm, sustainable, high-velocity concentration. It is modeled after long-distance athletes who train at a specific pace where they can run for hours without hitting a wall. In the cognitive world, Zone 2 focus means working at a steady, rhythmic pace where your mind is fully engaged, but your body remains completely relaxed. To trigger this state before you start a difficult task, you need to deliberately downregulate your nervous system. You can do this using a scientifically proven 5-minute technique known as vagal toning, which stimulates the vagus nerve to instantly drop your heart rate and lower stress. Sit comfortably in your chair, close your eyes, and perform a simple box breathing cycle. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds, and hold empty for 4 seconds. Repeat this simple cycle for just 3 to 5 minutes. What this does biologically is incredible. It shifts your body out of the stress sympathetic state and into the calm parasympathetic state. Your heart rate slows down, the tension leaves your shoulders, and the chaotic chatter in your mind goes quiet. When you open your eyes and look at your work from this state of physiological calm, you don't feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the project. You feel grounded, steady, and ready to make deliberate progress. Once your nervous system is calm, you need a radical, minimalist framework to guide your actions. As we discussed earlier, digital habit trackers and complex to-do lists often create more anxiety than results. To break free from that cycle, you need to transition to a physical, analog tool called the Rule of 3. Every single morning during your low stimulation period, take a single blank physical index card or a small scrap of paper. Do not open your digital task managers. Take a pen and write down exactly 3 things for the day, no more, no less. You must categorize them deliberately. Task number 1 is your non-negotiable. This is the single most important, high-impact task on your plate for the day. It is usually the exact project you have been procrastinating on because it requires deep, uncomfortable mental effort. It is the core thesis chapter, the difficult financial calculation, the strategic business proposal, or the deep study module. If you complete this one single task, the entire day is an absolute win, even if you do nothing else. You must commit to working on this task first, before you open your email or look at any other minor issues. Task number 2 is your momentum builder. This is a medium priority task that keeps your professional or personal wheels turning. It could be preparing for an important meeting, writing a specific piece of copy, or clearing out a backlogged operational bottleneck. It requires focus, but it doesn't carry the same heavy emotional weight as your non-negotiable. Task number 3 is your lifestyle support goal. This is a simple, deliberate act designed purely to support your health, well-being, or peace of mind. It could be taking a 20-minute walk outside without your phone, performing a brief mobility routine to fix your desk posture, reading 10 pages of literature, or committing to turning off all digital screens by 9 o'clock in the evening. There is a profound psychological benefit to using a physical index card for the Rule of 3. In the digital world, a to-do list is a bottomless pit. Every time you finish a task, 3 more emails arrive and the list grows longer. You leave your desk at the end of the day feeling defeated because the list is never truly finished. But a physical index card has strict, unyielding boundaries. It cannot expand. When you take a pen and physically draw a dark line through your 3 tasks, it sends a powerful, unambiguous signal to your brain. It says, "The work for today is complete." This allows you to close your laptop, step away from your desk, and actually enjoy your evening with your family or your hobbies, completely free from the lingering phantom guilt of modern hustle culture. To sustain this level of focus throughout a busy week without hitting a wall of creative fatigue, you also need to re-engineer how you look at physical movement and energy recovery. Many people believe that the only way to stay healthy or energetic is to block out 2 hours for a grueling gym session. But when you are balancing heavy academic studies, corporate financial responsibilities, or running a business, finding a 2-hour block every single day is highly unrealistic. When we fail to find that time, we end up sitting stationary at a desk for 8 to 10 hours straight, which absolutely destroys our posture, our blood circulation, and our cognitive speed. To fix this, modern sports science has introduced a brilliant concept known as exercise snacks or micro-workouts. Instead of viewing exercise as one massive, exhausting event, you view it as tiny, frictionless doses of movement distributed strategically throughout your day to break up mental fatigue. Think about the classic 3 p.m. afternoon slump. Your eyes feel heavy, you are reading the same sentence over and over again, and you feel completely unmotivated. This happens because sitting stationary causes blood to pool in your lower extremities, reducing oxygen flow to your brain and slowing down your metabolism. Drinking another cup of coffee or eating a sugary snack will only cause a massive insulin crash an hour later, leaving you more exhausted than before. Instead, the moment you feel that mental fatigue setting in, trigger a 5-minute exercise snack. Stand up from your desk, step away from the screen, and perform a simple, low-pressure mobility routine. Spend 2 minutes doing bodyweight squats to pump fresh, oxygenated blood back to your heart and brain. Spend 2 minutes doing gentle shoulder rolls and thoracic stretches to reverse the hunched posture caused by staring at a laptop. Finish with 1 minute of deep, rhythmic breathing. The cognitive transformation that happens in those 5 minutes is profound. You are not trying to burn calories or build muscle in this moment. You are purely using movement as a biological lever to clear brain fog, restore circulation, and spark metabolic health. It requires zero gym gear, you don't need to change your clothes, and it takes less time than making a cup of coffee. By implementing these tiny movement snacks every few hours, you maintain a steady, high-energy baseline from morning until night, eliminating the chaotic energy crashes that ruin your evening productivity. As we bring this long-form masterclass together, let us take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Personal growth and self-improvement are not about achieving a state of flawless, robotic perfection. You are a human being, not an operating system. You do not need a perfect morning routine, a flawless diet, or an optimized software stack to build an incredible life. In fact, the obsession with creating a perfect system is often just an elaborate defense mechanism to avoid the messy, uncomfortable, real work of making progress. True momentum is built on 2 things: forgiving yourself when things go wrong and maintaining a clear attention baseline. If you have an unpredictable day where an emergency arises, your schedule gets completely disrupted, and you don't get to look at your index card, that is completely fine. That is just life happening. A bad day only becomes a bad week if you allow your mind to spiral into guilt and throw away your boundaries. The secret to ultimate productivity is not doing more. It is about creating an environment where it is easy to do what matters. It is about having the courage to charge your phone in the kitchen, to sit in silence with your coffee for a few minutes, to down-regulate your nervous system when the world gets chaotic, and to focus entirely on just 3 meaningful wins every day. When you protect your attention baseline, the noise of the world fades away, your focus becomes natural and effortless, and you finally reclaim control over your time, your mind, and your life. Thank you so much for joining me for this extended episode of The Attention Baseline. If these concepts resonated with you, if they gave you a sense of clarity, or if they challenged the way you look at your daily habits, please take a moment to subscribe to the show on your platform of choice. Leave a thoughtful review, and most importantly, share this audio track with one single friend, colleague, or family member who is currently feeling overwhelmed by the speed of modern life and needs a practical mental reset. Commit to trying the low stimulation 90 and the physical rule of 3 tomorrow morning. Just give it one honest day, watch how your mind responds by noon, and trust the process. Keep your systems simple, protect your internal baseline, and I will see you right here in the very next episode. Think about the very first thing you did when you opened your eyes this morning. Before your feet even touched the floor, before you greeted your family, or even turned on the lights.